Good morning and welcome to the Marketing Me Method online training. This morning I will be taking you through a number of methods around self-promotion. And the reason I call this Marketing Me is that I spent 10 years in sales and marketing before I moved into L&D and change and coaching. So I am going to teach you some ways that I approach self-promotion using my marketing and sales techniques. And the great thing about that is it makes it really simple, and it also takes the emotion of self-promotion out of things. So what I hear people say is that if I self-promote, I might be perceived as cocky. And with the simple methods that I'm going to show you today, it really takes the emotion out of the equation. And you can start using some simple ways of marketing you and your brand rather than feeling the emotion that's attached to self-promotion sometimes. Now, when I say get that promotion, that could be a new job, a new opportunity, it might be a new development. So whatever it is that you're trying to put yourself forward for, I want to show you the methods today so that you'll have the skills to be able to do that when you walk away after this session. So a little bit about why I do this. First of all, I've been coaching people for over 10 years. And one of the things that I would say to you is I'm a bit of a straight talker. So today I'm just going to ask for permission from you. We've got an hour and I just want to make the most of our time together. So I'm going to be really straight with you when I share things with you. And I do that because I've been coaching people for such a long time that I've heard a lot of the same stories. And what I've done is I've developed now this program so that I can wrap up a lot of the simple tools and techniques and teach what I do on a one-on-one coaching point of view now to large groups of people. I also like to connect with my clients and make things really meaningful. And sometimes it's a bit challenging to be doing that over an online webinar when all of you are muted and I'm the only one talking. So I'm going to ask you to connect with me today in the question box, and we'll talk through how you can do that in a moment. The other way for me to make it meaningful for you is that I'm going to share some stories with you, and those stories will be about me and they'll be about my clients. Confidentially, of course, I won't be mentioning people's names, but I'll share some stories with you so that it makes the techniques really meaningful, because all of my techniques are practical techniques. You should be able to walk away from today, I've got a technique, I can now go and apply it. So let's start using the question box now just to make sure it's working. You will see on your dashboard you have got an area that says questions. Now, just so you know, when you put a question or a comment into that question box, I'm the only one that can see that comment. So it's completely confidential. What I will do is I will mention the comment that's in the box, but I won't say who it came from. So very similar to how I would manage a coaching situation. So if you can find your question box right now, and if you can type into that question box, where are you in the world right now? So if you could tell me that in your question box, and we'll just check that everyone's question box is actually working. So where it says type answer here, looks like I've got one person in Sydney, one person in Blacktown, another person in Sydney, oh, Brisbane. We've got lots of people coming in from Sydney today. Oops. Sorry, I'm just accidentally moving my slides around here. Let me move those back. Okay, so it looks like everyone is within Australia. So the great thing about that is you're all on regular time. I hosted a webinar a few weeks ago where actually she was in Australia but in WA, so it was 4:30 in the morning there. So all kudos to her for the commitment that she made to come along to that webinar. So looks like your question box is working. If at any time you have a problem with your question box, just there's another button there where you can put your hand up, and if you put your hand up I can see, and then I can try and communicate with you so that we could fix any technical problems that you have. The next question I'd love to ask you is, what is the feeling that you'd like to bring to today's webinar? So is it that you want to bring courage to today's webinar? Is it that you want to bring real focus? Is it that you're wanting to get yourself kick-started? What is it that you want to bring to today's webinar? So I can see what your focus is for today. So once again, if you can just pop a note into the question box for me. Okay, so we've got a new business startup. We have got courage and commitment, wanting confidence, confidence with promoting myself and my business to clients. Absolutely, we can help with that. So today, when I'm talking about things like getting a promotion, you can apply that to getting more clients in your business and promoting yourself with new clients. Having courage and confidence looks like lots of courage and confidence. And as you can see on the front page there, my programs are all about helping people to have ambition, courage, and make progress. So not allowing your lack of confidence to get in your way. So we're going to work on some tools today that will help you with that, with building that confidence. Okay, so the great thing is the technology is working for us. So let's keep moving forward. So why did I create this? Well, the reason for that is my clients were telling me a number of things, and that was they felt awkward about self-promotion. I hear this lots and lots. They feared they were going to be judged for promoting themselves, that they might be seen as cocky, blowing their own trumpet, different words that I kept hearing. People felt like someone else was going to judge them. And that they felt like they weren't valued or acknowledged. So it didn't matter how much hard work they put in, people weren't valuing them or acknowledging the work that they were, the efforts that they were putting in. So I developed this particular webinar to really help you communicate and talk assertively about your talents. So you can have courage. So a number of you talked about having courage, and it is really about helping you to have courage, to have some of these conversations and say things about yourself that is the truth, but say it so that you feel like you can say it naturally and with conviction. And I want to help you get noticed and rewarded. So that might be getting noticed by new clients. It might be getting noticed for your next role within an organization, or it might be getting noticed outside of an organization. Wherever that be, I want to help you with those three things. So in today's webinar, I'm going to give you as much as I can in the time that we've got. So we've got an hour together. So I'm going to try and download and give you as much information as I can. As I mentioned, I use lots of practical tools and templates when I'm coaching. So at the end of today, I'm going to send you a copy of my slide pack that I'll take you through, and as well as that, all of the activity sheets that I talk you through, so that you can then do that in your own time. So if you can just remind me of that in the Q&A section of today's webinar, which is at the end, I'll send those things out to you. And I'd love you to stay on board, because at the end there are some bonuses that I'm providing to all the attendees of the webinar today. And as well as that, at the end, I'd love to be able to have your permission to share with you how you can get more support from me. So today is the start of where I could possibly support you, and I'd love to share with you more than that if I have your permission to do so at the end. So why do I do what I do? Well, I worked my way up the corporate ladder. I overachieved. I had regular promotions, but my career got to a stage where I was at a bit of a standstill, and I was feeling really frustrated because other people were in more senior roles, and I seemed to be being overlooked for those. And I thought that I should just, be recognised for the fact that I was achieving without having to tell people about my talents and abilities. What was happening was colleagues of mine were actually moving into more senior roles than me. At the time, I had a large team. I actually was getting great results, and the team was really highly engaged. And I assumed that based on my results, both from a people point of view and a results point of view, I would get noticed for that. But I just felt like I wasn't being recognised. And what I realised was that all of my hard work and long hours was completely going unnoticed. And it was because I wasn't telling anyone about my achievements. I needed to really start communicating those achievements, but I also needed to communicate my ambitions. because at the time I didn't realize that people weren't realizing that I wanted to actually go further in my career. So what I started to do was communicate my achievements and the value of my achievements. And I also talked about my ambitions. And today I'm going to show you a number of those, the ways that I did that. So, and based on that, I ended up getting multiple promotions. Once I changed my approach, I shared my ambitions with people, I shared my achievements and my strengths, and they could see the benefits that I was adding to the organization. So it took me a long time to build up all of that courage. And I want to make sure that I take that learning experience as well as my last 10 years of coaching and now help people not go through some of the learnings that I've had to go through, but give you the proven strategies so that you can start doing these things straight away. Okay, so I've got a question for you. What's the hardest thing that you find about marketing your talents? So what's the hardest thing you experience? If someone says self-promotion to you, what's the hardest part about that? And once again, if you can just pop a question in, an answer into the question box right now. Okay, so it feels awkward. It doesn't feel very natural to you. Okay, so maybe not valuing what you do, so you don't necessarily share that with others. Knowing what to say, absolutely. So, okay, you might doubt yourself sometimes, feel a bit nervous speaking about yourself, and don't really know what to say. Okay, so all of those things we're going to talk about today is how you can start valuing yourself, so you can start seeing your skills and achievements as benefits and value, and also so you can learn how to know what to say in those situations. So let's move to the first outcome of today, which is around how to market your talents. So a client shared with me recently that self-promotion feels really unnatural to her, and she missed out on a job that she'd been interviewed for. She was provided feedback from the recruiter after the interview, and the recruiter had said to her that she didn't actually have the skills for the job that she was going for. And she felt really deflated when we had our coaching session. And the reason for that was that she did actually have the skills. What let her down was in the interview process, she felt really awkward about talking about these particular skills and talking about them in a way that someone would really value. And therefore, she didn't actually she didn't confidently market herself in the interview. So the actual recruiter didn't think she had the experience for the role. This is not abnormal. So what I hear my clients say is that they feel uncomfortable about self-promotion. They don't want to be seen as cocky. They don't want to be seen as blowing their own trumpet. And it's not natural. So the words don't come out really easily. They're not really sure of what to say. So what I want to help you with is I want to help you to come across as professional. So not seen as cocky, but professional and astute. To be seen as confident. So confidently talking about yourself and not get second guessing about what are the things that you need to say. And feeling natural about it. So not feeling awkward, but feeling natural. So I'm going to give you, I find the best way for things to come across naturally is to have a framework and an approach to how to do something. So I'm going to share with you this tool here. It's called Marketing My Talents. Now, what you'll find is on your dashboard, you've actually got a box called Handouts, and in there is a PDF called Marketing My Talents, which looks exactly like this one here. And if you would like to open up that document right now, it is actually an editable PDF. And I'm going to talk you through how you actually, my framework for how you plan to have these conversations with people. So the first thing we do is in our plan, we need to be aware of what's going to be a 3-step sentence. So when I'm coaching people as part of my Career Booster program, I go into a lot of depth on each of these elements, but obviously we've only got an hour and my Career Booster program is 6 weeks. So I'm going to give you a real download of as much as I can in this time. So When I ask them to plan, I ask them to think about their 15-second commercial. And what you do in your 15-second commercial is you first think about, who am I going forward? So not who am I now, but who am I going forward in my career? And then after that, you say, okay, so what was the last position that you had? And what did you do in that position? So who am I going forward in my career? The other day I was coaching someone. They said that they were wanting to move into a change management role. So going forward, I'm an experienced change manager. The last position that they had was that they had been a change manager for a large transformational business transformation project. And lastly, we say, what's your focus? What do you want to be doing next? So when you say to me, I'm not really sure what I should be saying, here's a great example of a 15-second commercial. It's about 3 to 4 sentences. So this is how it would work. So going forward, I'm an experienced change manager. Most recently, my position was a change manager for a large business transformation project where I managed all of the communications and change management for that project. Moving forward, I'm looking for an organizational design role or change director's role. Okay, so there is a very simple 3-step sentence that if we plan for it, it can come across really naturally. The next thing you want to do to be able to come across naturally, and as I mentioned, I'm going to give you all the slides here. So I know I'm moving through quickly, but you'll have the slides to be able to refer back to. The next thing you need to do for things to come across naturally and to build confidence is you need to practice. Well, we know that about any type of, whether it be work or sport, practice helps us to perform more effectively. So I do a lot of work in mental toughness, and there's 3 different things that I suggest to people when they're practicing for something. The first one is to practice saying things out loud. So if you want to say that 15-second commercial that I've just helped you to plan, practice saying it out loud. Now, some people like saying it in the mirror, some people just like saying it as they're driving in the car, but practice saying it out loud so you can hear yourself saying it. The more you say it, the more you just get used to it and it becomes normal. The other thing that you can do is you can role play. So you can role play with a colleague, a role play with a friend, a partner, a mentor, whoever it is that you would like to role play with. But it gets you in, once you've done it once, you can do it going forward. The next piece is around using visualization. So as I mentioned, my work in mental toughness, and we spent a whole module on this in the Career Booster program, but visualization is such a powerful technique to build confidence. There is research that says that once the mind has imagined something, it actually doesn't know the difference between what is real and what is imagined. So what can happen as a result of that is if you visualize something, the mind sees it as normal, and therefore you have already experienced saying your 15-second commercial out loud to a group of people or an individual. So visualizing yourself saying it or visualizing you seeing yourself saying it. The next one is about performing. So when I'm coaching people, I talk to them quite regularly about moving out of their comfort zone. And what happens is that we have this area here, which is a comfort zone. And quite often what happens is people just stay in this zone and then they don't necessarily grow and develop. If you move too far away from your comfort zone, sometimes we get into this area, which is called a panic zone. In the experience with self-promotion, people can start freaking out about, what is someone going to say about me? I don't really know what to say. And therefore you start in this panic zone, which then means you don't do anything. And we call that the immobilizing area as well, because you're completely immobilized. What we want to do is help you move into this area, which is your learning zone. So in the techniques that I'm showing you, as far as, excuse me, I'll just get back to the document. So in the techniques that I'm showing you as far as role playing, visualizing, saying things out loud, it helps to put you into that learning zone, a safe place for learning, so that then once you get to perform, you are feeling so much more confident and you're not in your panic zone anymore. So how then do we perform? What we need to start doing is using that 15-second commercial and start sending out emails, or in LinkedIn, it's an in-mail. So start emailing out and starting to connect with people. And then having conversations. So whether that be face-to-face, over the phone, in networking, you can use that 15-second commercial. What am I going forward? What was my last position? What did I do? And what am I going to do next in any conversation? And then you want to update your profile. So for some of you, that might be a web page if you own your own business. For others, it might be your CV or your LinkedIn profile. Let's make sure that our LinkedIn profile and all of our profiles that are out there are promoting ourselves really effectively. So what I've done is I've shown you one way, which is the 15-second commercial that you can plan. I'm going to show you a number of techniques today that will help you to plan for self-promotion. But these things, as far as the practice and perform, continue to remain the same. Okay. So I wanted to just share with you a bit of a story about a client of mine where this particularly related to. So she was in a situation where there was a restructure going on at her organisation, and she was waiting to be tapped on the shoulder or be spoken to about an opportunity. And in our coaching session, I asked her why she seemed frustrated. So I asked her what was going on. And what she shared with me was that she was frustrated that no one, or deflated really, that no one had actually spoken to her about these opportunities that might be available, and that, considering her as one of the people that could be of interest. So I asked her what was stopping her from actually voicing her ambitions to her manager. And she said to me that she didn't want to be seen as bolshy. She felt like that if she was putting herself forward, she would be seen as bolshy and quite aggressive. She wanted to wait for someone to come to her. So what we did was we actually put together her 15-second commercial, and we role played that together. And then she went and had a conversation with her manager using that 15-second commercial about, this is where I want to be and this is why I want to be there. So she added to that 15-second commercial around why she was interested in being considered for opportunities. His response to her was that he apologized because he didn't realize that she had those type of ambitions. So she was feeling disappointed for something that he didn't even know was the case. What she realized out of that was that she needed to have these conversations, put herself forward to be able to be considered for these types of opportunities. And interestingly, she was interviewed for the role, and she's been a successful candidate in that role and increased her salary by over $15,000, which is really exciting. Okay, so I'd like to really understand then from your perspective, if you were to use one of the approaches that I just spoke to you about, so whether it's a 15-second commercial or doing some practice, reaching out and performing, so emailing and connecting with people, what would it change for you? So is there anything there that you could use, and how would it change things for you? If you can just pop a note into the question box for me. Okay, so it looks like that 15-second commercial is really quite valuable. Clarifying what you really want. Okay, so give you the confidence to seek it out. Yeah, nice. So the great thing about that 15-second commercial is it does actually give you clarity around, well, what do I want going forward? So then you can start seeking it out. The other thing we do in the Career Booster program is we actually spend a lot of time talking about your future outcomes and what it is that you do want, so you can get laser focus. Yeah, so it would make others aware of what you do. If you use that 15-second commercial, it would make people aware of what you do, so that people are not left wondering. Okay, and looks like some people would get value out of taking the time to practice. Yes, absolutely. So practice with this can make you feel so much more confident. So before you're putting yourself into that situation, don't put yourself in the panic zone. Do some practice, do some visualization, role play, whatever it is that you need to do so that you can safely put yourself into the learning zone. So my role today as a coach, so what I do when I'm a coach is I ask challenging questions of my coachees so that they really think about what it is they want to do and ask themselves big questions. So I want you to think about right now and make a note of this is you don't need to pop it in the question box, but think about what's one of those things that I'm going to do, because these things are going to get you on the path to get that job or get that promotion, get that next opportunity. So what are the things that you can do, even one from that last section that we went through, that's going to help you get on the right path? Okay, so let's move on to the next section of today's webinar, which is around having courage, so being courageous. Clients mention to me regularly that they shy away from self-promotion, and a number of you mentioned this in the comments today, that you don't necessarily feel courageous about promoting yourself. So I want to show you some tips on how to do that. Before I do that, I just want to share with you some of the comments that my clients say to me. So they fear they'll be judged, they lack the confidence, and they also sometimes think that self-promotion is fake. So I want to show you a tool that will help you to have courage, to be confident, and to feel like it's more natural. So this is the tool here. It's called the Assertiveness Planner. Just so you know, I do actually run a whole seminar on assertiveness as part of the Career Booster program. And this is actually part of it. So today I want to share just one of these tools with you. Now, I've used this with so many of my clients, and I want to show you how it can help you to have an assertive conversation. So it goes a bit like this. So I'm going to talk you through how the process works, and then I'll show you an example of that. So you describe the situation in objective terms by starting off with a comment like, because I. You then discuss your feelings about the problem, like I feel. You then say, determine one change you'd like to see happen, I would like, and demonstrate what's going to be the benefit for the other person, which is a then. Now, like I said, I'm going to show you an example of this. There's a couple of things I just want to point out to you. As you can see, when we're being assertive, everything is about I. So because I feel I would like. So we want to talk about it from our perspective versus necessarily the responsibility of the other person. We don't get into that until this section down here. So let me share an example with you. So this one is, because I want to grow and develop, I feel that I'm not challenging and stretching myself enough. I'd like to be considered for this management role. I'll be able to deliver the KPIs as well as set up the business for future growth. So there is an example of simple self-promotion where you're talking about a situation that where you are right now and where you want to be. So because I want to grow and develop, and this might be a conversation that if you're feeling disengaged about where you are right now in your role, or feeling like you're not being stretched or challenged, you could say, because I want to grow and develop, I feel I'm not challenging and stretching myself enough. I'd like to be considered for this particular management role that's being advertised or not being advertised, as I know I'll be able to deliver the KPIs and set the business up for success. So what I've done here is talk about the benefits that you'll bring to that particular role. Now, this is an example that's right for this particular coachee that I was coaching at the time. It's an example from them. You need to actually make this your own. So in the handouts that I'm going to provide you at the end of today's webinar, I'm going to give you this template. Once again, it's an editable template. You can use it whenever you want to go into a conversation. Now, that conversation could be a conversation about looking for more development. It could be a conversation talking about how you want to get more recognition. I use this to help women and men with salary negotiation. So there are lots of ways you can use this assertiveness planner. The idea is to help build your courage so that you can market yourself effectively. So I'm going to send you that at the end of today's webinar. Now, I do know we have a couple of gentlemen on the line this morning, so this case study may not be as relevant for you, but I just wanted to share a case study. And I think regardless of whether you're male or female, the message in this is about the fact that unconscious biases exist. So there was a case study done in the US with a group of business students, and they developed a case study where the professors developed a case study where there was a leader, a person who had progressed through their career, had multiple promotions, had leadership roles, very effective in their role, and progressed through to CEO. And what they did was they gave half the group the case study and called the person Hilda, and half the group the case study and called the person Harold. When the groups came back with their results, when they reviewed Harold, they said that Harold took initiative, the type of person they wanted to work for, was very motivated and very achievement focused. For Hilda, the comments were, she seems like she's out for herself, not sure I'd want to work for her. So quite negative. And what was interesting was, as I said, the case studies were exactly the same. The only difference was the names. So I think what I would say to you is the reason we need to have courage when we're self-promoting is that unfortunately there is a complete bias for women around self-promotion where you can be seen as being out for yourself. So we do need to have courage and do this in a way that it feels really confident. So the assertiveness planner is really beneficial. What I would say is that I've coached many men and they have the same challenge. I was coaching a managing director of an organization recently, and he was talking to me about the need for him to be able to promote himself because he'd got to the stage where he needed to move on to another organization, and he felt really awkward about doing that. So because of the judgments that would happen for him. So there are unconscious bias around people with self-promotion. It is the way it is. So what we need to do is, instead of, just remember, if we go back to what we said before, if we stay where we are, we're just going to stay comfortable and we're not going to continue to grow and develop. If we don't prepare ourselves for that potential unconscious bias, we're going to be in this panic zone. So we want to use the assertiveness planner, use the practice and get ourselves ready so that we can overcome some of that by being courageous. Okay, so I'd love to know what it is that you got from that conversation just now. So as I mentioned, I'm going to provide you that handout at the end of today so you can work through that for yourself. But how might you use the assertiveness planner to be more courageous in self-promotion? I'd love to hear from you. Okay, so using it to have conversations with clients about the things that you're great at. Yeah, so I ran a seminar not that long ago actually, and I had 3 people there who actually had their own businesses, and they used the assertiveness planner for having a client conversation, and it's in one of my testimonials. Yeah, nice. So prepare a structured approach to having some of those difficult conversations. Yep, so using this structure when things feel awkward, absolutely. So use the structure to take the awkwardness out of it and make it feel more normal. Yeah, okay, so direct the conversation so that you can, that's right. So talk about your strengths. So talk about your strengths in the put your strengths into that framework and recognize some of your areas of opportunity. So this is a development area for me. This is why I need this particular opportunity. Yep. And having conversations with clients. Yeah. And having conversations with leaders. The other thing I would say is having conversations with recruiters, having networking conversations. These are all, you can use the assertiveness planner when you're having networking conversations as well. So as I mentioned to you, my role today is to be able to help you to draw a line in the sand and say, okay, so do I want to continue to be held back by thinking I might be judged by other people or feeling like I don't have the confidence to do this? Or do I want to start having courage, being confident, and starting to feel natural about promoting myself? This tool that I've just shown you is one step in the right direction to really take charge of your career. So I'd encourage you to use that and use it to your benefit. Okay, so the last section of today's webinar is talking about how to get noticed. So this is where I'm going to share with you very much a marketing technique from my 10 years experience in sales and marketing. I think what I hear so many people telling me is, I put in so many extra hours, I work so hard, no one seems to notice. So I get this comment very, very often, whether it be in my seminars or my group coaching or one-on-one coaching. People quite often will say that to me. So what they say is, my tireless effort just goes unnoticed. It doesn't matter how many hours I put in, people still aren't noticing the difference. My talents don't seem to be valued. So I know that I'm doing a great job, yet other people aren't valuing my talents. I seem to over-deliver, but I'm undervalued by the organisation. I want to help you ensure that your effort is rewarded. So the amount of effort you put in is equal to the reward that you get. I want to help you see that your talents are recognised and that your strengths and talents are valued, so you know the value of them and the organisation knows the value of them, whether that be your organisation or another one that you're trying to promote yourself to. So I want to talk to you about fab statements today. I spent 3 years actually training salespeople on how to sell, and one of the things that I loved about teaching people how to sell was we use these things called fab statements, and fab stands for features, advantages, and benefits. Now, I have used this concept in every other function that I've worked in because of how fabulous it is, and it can be applied anywhere. So when we apply this to talking about ourselves, features are our achievements, our skills, our talents, our experience, our knowledge. They're all those things that are features of you. They make up your years of they make up your CV, they make up your years of experience, and they're the things that you do every day. The benefits, however, are all of those things and the value and advantage that they add to the organization. Now, the biggest thing I find is that people forget to use benefits. They talk a lot about their features of themselves, but they don't talk about their benefits. So I want to show you how to do that. Now, when I talk about value, I just wanted to show you when I train salespeople on selling, or when I did train salespeople on selling, we use this acronym. Now, what it stands for is that benefits, so the value that your achievements add to an organization, relate to three things. One is financial. The other is performance, or some people prefer to call this productivity. So how is my achievement helping productivity? And the other is image. So how is my achievement helping the organization as far as its image to the customer, suppliers, stakeholders? So I'm going to show you how this works in practice now. Here's an example of a fab statement. So if, for example, if you just look at the top box, this is quite often what people talk about, whether they're in an interview or in their CV or on their LinkedIn profile. They talked about their achievements or their responsibilities. So they say, I negotiated a national preferred supplier agreement, or I managed a project that negotiated, where we negotiated a national preferred supplier agreement. What we want to do is we want to turn that feature, so that particular achievement or responsibility, into a benefit. So the benefit of that achievement is that agreement reduced the cost of corporate stationery by $45,000 per annum and consolidated the number of suppliers from 8 to 1, which created efficiencies in supplier management. So let's just go through this together. So when we talk about financial benefits, so the F in the acronym, so it reduced the cost of corporate stationery. That's the benefit. That's what organisations want to see. Was there a financial benefit, and what was it? How did it increase productivity? Well, it consolidated the number of suppliers from 8 to 1, which meant there was efficiencies in supplier management. So where before they might have had 3 people managing suppliers, now they might only have 2.5, for example. So there's an example of where you can use financial and productivity benefits. I was working with a client the other day, and they mentioned to me that we were talking through her FAB statements, and she said in one of her achievements, well, I've just worked on this project where I've streamlined workflows between marketing, sales, and supply chain. And I said, okay, that's great. So what? So what were the financial and what were the benefits that you achieved? She said, oh, okay, well, I've reduced the number of meetings. Okay, so what did that mean? Well, it means that they're more productive. All individuals are working more productively because they're going to less meetings, and they've actually reduced the overall headcount for everyone involved in the new product development process. So therefore, she was able to turn her feature of I've streamlined workflows into a productivity benefit. Now, what I would say to you is that this is an exceptionally powerful tool. You can use it, as I mentioned before, when I talked to you about plan, practice, perform. In Plan, here's another example of a planning tool that you can use. And then when you can practice saying it out loud. In your Perform, you can put this into an email, you can put it in your CV, in your LinkedIn profile. In the Career Booster, we take this further. We take this concept of FAB statements and we put it right through your profile, your CV, how to use it in networking, in interviews. It's got so many applications. So as I mentioned before, I'm going to send you this at the end of today's webinar. In the meantime, let me just share with you a story of a client of mine. So she was sharing with me that she had applied for a job internally. She'd put together her CV and submitted an application for a role. She was exceptionally frustrated when we caught up for our phone coaching, where she explained to me that she hadn't actually even got an interview for this role, even though it's an internal role. So what we did was we had a look at her CV, and it was really apparent once we looked at her CV that she had done a great job of listing all of her achievements, her skills, her experiences. She just hadn't spelled out the benefits. And when we went through them and I asked her, okay, so what? So what was the financial benefit? What was the productivity? What was the image? Was there any benefit for the organization? She was able to spell out lots of benefits, but she just hadn't listed them clearly in her CV. So it can change whether or not you get an interview. It can change whether or not you get yourself in with a particular client. It can change whether or not a recruiter even wants to speak to you. So I really do encourage you to use features and benefit statements and spell out what are the benefits that you provide, not just your skills and experience and responsibilities. So, as I mentioned before, I would love to know, out of that conversation, what are you going to do differently? So what out of that can you use to really start promoting yourself? Once again, share it in the question box for me. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, so it sounds like the benefit statements are going to be really beneficial. Yep, so start spelling out the benefits more, absolutely. And I really would encourage you to ask yourself these questions. So when you write down or when you think about saying something to someone, think about what's the financial benefit. So ask yourself those questions. What's the financial benefit? What's the productivity benefit? Is there an image benefit? Okay, love the fab statements. Nice. Use that to focus on the benefits. Fantastic. Wonderful. So as I mentioned, my role today is really to help you make a decision. You know, do you want to continue to lack confidence or feel like your achievements aren't necessarily valued by either yourself? Because sometimes it's that we're not recognizing our own value, not just the organization. So are you feeling like you're not valuing your own strengths and achievements, and is the organization not valuing you? Or do you want to start being able to have these conversations naturally by planning them out and talking about your value that you can provide? And that way you can get on that path to being promotable versus you might be really indispensable in your role at the moment, or you might be doing a great job but not necessarily going anywhere else. So these will help you go places. Okay, so at the start of today's webinar, I promised that I was going to give you as much as I could in the time that we have. I know that it's time for us to nearly drop off the line now. I also said that I was going to show you how I could help you further. So some of you shared with me that you joined today's webinar because you wanted to have more confidence talking about yourself, you wanted to get noticed, you wanted to be able to talk assertively, you wanted to have more courage. They were some of the things that people actually mentioned to me at the start of today. Well, you've got some choices that you can make right now. So you have three choices. You know, you could quit altogether, because I do know that self-promotion is hard. So if it was too hard, you could go, you know what, this is all too hard, I'm just not going to try. Alternatively, you could continue to go it alone. Take these things, take what you know already and go it alone, and hope that you're going to get some improved results. Or alternatively, you could let me help you. So I've got lots of proven strategies. What I've shown you today is probably about 2% of my toolkit, but I want to be able to share it with many more people. I have developed a coaching program called the Career Booster, and I did that because I was sharing these tools one-on-one with individuals, and I really wanted to increase the number of people that I was impacting. What I would say is that the Career Booster is not for everyone. It's not a program for people who are looking for a magic pill, because it's not that. And it's not a program for people who want to leave the responsibility of their career to somebody else. So let me take you through who it is actually for. So the Career Booster is a program that's for women and men who want support and guidance to make their career change happen and make it stick, want inspiration to keep going when they want to quit. So that's one of the things that I do as a coach. Is my role is to keep you going when you feel like quitting. If you want proven approaches and tools, so I've got, as I mentioned, this is about 2 or 3% of my toolkit. If you want the rest of my toolkit so you don't have to figure everything out on your own, then I can help you. If you're currently lacking confidence and courage for self-promotion, then I can help you. You don't know what you should be paid and you need coaching on how to ask for more, or you want to take responsibility but need someone to hold you accountable. The benefits of the program are that you can increase your salary, or for those of you on the line from your own business, you can increase your revenues. You can get promoted or get selected by clients, be recognized for your talents, really take charge of your career and start realizing your potential. What I would say to you is that I have helped many, many clients get promoted, and some of them increase their salaries up to $20,000 in a 6 to 8 week program. So how much time does it take? it's about 60 to 90 minutes per week, so about 10 minutes per day. And what does it include? So you get a one-on-one coaching session with me, which of course is valued at it's over $200. You get a one-on-one real power coaching session with me where we put together a personalized achievement plan. We then have what we call 6 group coaching sessions. So you get on the line with myself and with other people in the Career Booster program, and those sessions are about me holding you accountable, giving you guidance and support, and all of my proven strategies and tools. So those group coaching sessions are valued at over $3,000. The next is, and the thing that I love is the 6 online modules that I have. So I've got 6 online modules that include videos, worksheets, learning modules, and I give these to you. They're valued at $9,000, and it's pretty much a gift in this particular program. This is how you can learn techniques on salary negotiation, self-promotion, so that you can really progress your career and get paid what you deserve. So I asked my clients and a number of people about what you'd expect to pay for something like this, and some people said $3,000, other people said $2,000. So I make it available to the public for $1,197. So the total value of the program is $12,000, and I normally charge $1,197. For those of you on today's webinar, I'm giving you a $200 discount. So normally I do this for one day only, but today we've got some technical glitches. So I'm extending that to 72 hours. And the details are going to be in an email that I send out to you after today's webinar. So for only $997, you can have access to a personal coaching session with a personalized achievement plan, 6 group coaching sessions, and 6 online modules for $997. What I would say is that I have a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you buy this program and you don't agree it's worth every cent, you can just email me, tell me why you found it unsatisfactory, and I will promptly refund your money. As well as that, when people sign up to the program, they get my book called The 90-Day Planner, which is a great tool that I use to help people fast-track career change. So it helps you to say, in the next 90 days, how do I get focused on the things that are really going to make a difference in my career? And of course, we give you access to the Career Booster Facebook group, where at any time you can post questions and comments, and you can share your achievements, you can share your concerns, frustrations, or some of your losses or wins, and you'll have a supportive group around you. And as well as that, I'm on there every day so I can comment on and answer questions that you have. So I would love you to join me at the Career Booster coaching program. All you need to do is, after today's session, is set up a 10-minute power coaching call with me, and we'll determine if the Career Booster coaching program is right for you. So as I mentioned, it's not right for everyone. So set up the call and let's see if it's right for you. If it is right for you, then I'll give you a code so that you can get $200 off the coaching program. So I'm going to send you a link to book in a power coaching call with me today, and book it in today. And so as I mentioned, we've got 72 hours. So we've got today, tomorrow, and Friday to have those power coaching calls. And if the program's right for you, then I'll give you a $200 discount off the program. Before I share the webinar bonuses for coming today, do you have any questions for me about the Career Booster program? And if you do, please pop them into the question box right now. So what questions do you have about the Career Booster program? Yeah, when does the program start? So the program kicks off week commencing the 23rd of May. So we're ready to start in, 2 weeks away, 2.5 weeks away. And the program is for 6 weeks. So within the next 8 weeks, you will be fully on path to achieve your career goals. the group sessions. So the group sessions actually run via a webinar style, so very much like this. However, what I do is I unmute participants so that you can interact with me, and we coach each other online, and there's an opportunity there that you can learn from yourself and you can learn from others as well. So you hear the conversations we have with others. We do it confidentially so that we don't divulge people's names, and then everyone gets an opportunity to be coached by me on a weekly basis. Yes, there is a payment plan. We have a payment plan that's available across 3 payments, and the only thing to note there is that the payment plan is based on the full price, not the discounted price, so it works out at $3.99 per fortnight for 3 weeks. Is there any one-on-one coaching? Yes, so the personal coaching is a one-on-one coaching session, and that is done via Skype. So it runs for 30 minutes, and we do that via Skype, and we finish the session by me sending you your personal achievement plan for the 6-week program. Okay, so that looks like all the questions in the question box right now. So let me share with you the bonuses for turning up today. So I am going to send you a copy of my book, The Thought Booster. Now, many of you mentioned to me today about lacking courage and confidence. Quite often, courage and confidence comes from how you're thinking. So how we think is how we behave. This particular Thought Booster book is going to help you to really stop those career stalling thoughts or those negative thoughts that are happening so that you can start promoting yourself and progressing in your career. As well as that, for turning up today, I'm going to give you a copy of my slide pack and all the editable PDFs that we talked about today. I'm going to send you that after today's call, and I'll also have on it a link to the power coaching call. So we are right on time. It's 8:42. I really thank you for your attendance at today's webinar. I look forward to connecting with you again soon. And as I mentioned, when you get the email from me today, register for that power coaching call so that we can start helping you progress towards achieving the goals that you want. Thank you. I'm getting lots of thank yous in the thank you box. So thank you very much for your attendance, and I appreciate you being here this morning. Enjoy your day.